In the grim darkness of the far future, there are relics that sleep in forgotten tombs, waiting for a call that may never come. There are warriors who have slumbered for so long that the very galaxy they once knew has transformed into something unrecognizable. And then there are the Orks, who care nothing for history, nothing for reverence, and everything for what they can scavenge, loot, and turn into instruments of joyous destruction. This is the story of what happens when these two forces collide. When the unstoppable scavenger meets the immovable monument to a forgotten age. When crude alien hands disturb something that has rested in darkness since the Horus heresy itself tore the Imperium apart. It's a tale of awakening, of violence, of confusion spanning 10,000 years, and of the savage poetry that is Ork culture meeting the solemn tragedy of the Space Marine Dreadnought. Before we dive into this collision of ancient and primitive, we need to understand what exactly a Dreadnought represents in the universe of Warhammer 40,000. These walking war machines are not simply vehicles or weapons platforms. They are tombs. They are prisons. They are both blessing and curse made manifest in ceramite and adamantium. When a space marine suffers wounds so catastrophic that even their superhuman physiology cannot recover, when their body is broken beyond what the most skilled apothecaries can repair, they face a choice. Not a choice they make consciously, perhaps, but a choice their chapter makes for them. The greatest heroes, those whose wisdom and experience are deemed too valuable to lose, are not granted the Emperor's peace. Instead, they are interred within the armored sarcophagus of a dreadnought, their broken bodies suspended in amniotic fluids, their consciousness hardwired directly into the machine's systems through neural interfaces that would drive a normal human instantly and irrevocably insane. These warriors become something other than human, other than space marine even. They become living relics, their organic remains forming the pilot core of a walking weapons platform that stands twice the height of a man and masses several tons of armor and weaponry. Every sense they once possessed is replaced by mechanical sensors. They see through optical arrays and targeting systems. They hear through acoustic detectors. They feel through pressure sensors in the Dreadnought's armored hide. Touch, taste, smell, all the sensations that connected them to their humanity are filtered through machines and translated into data streams fed directly into their brains. The psychological toll is immense. Between battles, dreadnoughts are placed into stasis sleep, their consciousness shut down to preserve what remains of their sanity. Because to be awake, perpetually in such a state, would drive even a space marine mad. They sleep for decades, for centuries. Some, like Bjorn the Fell-Handed of the Space Wolves, have slept and woken for over 10,000 years, awakened only once per millennium, or when their chapter faces its gravest threats. Each time they wake, they remember a little less of what they were. Each time they fight, a little more of their humanity erodes away, leaving only the warrior's purpose, the machine's cold logic, and the terrible weight of memories that span epochs. Now imagine a dreadnought that has slept not for decades or centuries, but for 10 full millennia. Imagine a warrior who was interred during the Horus heresy itself, during those dark days when brother turned against brother and the galaxy burned with civil war. A warrior who fought alongside Primarchs, who heard the Emperor's voice before he was entombed upon the Golden Throne, who knew an Imperium that still carried the flickering hope of enlightenment before it calcified into the theocratic nightmare of the 41st millennium. This warrior went to sleep in one galaxy and would wake in another entirely. The Imperium he knew is gone. His chapter might be extinct, scattered, or transformed beyond recognition. The very nature of the Astartes has changed with the introduction of Primaris Marines. Technology he took for granted is now considered sacred archaeotech. Tactics, doctrines, even the basic structure of Space Marine organization has evolved through 10,000 years of constant warfare. And into this tomb, Into this forgotten shrine to a lost age come the Orks. The greenskins are perhaps the galaxy's most persistent and widespread threat, and simultaneously its most underestimated. They are not a civilization in any conventional sense. They are a plague, a pandemic of violence that spreads across stars. Where one Ork falls, its death releases millions of spores that will eventually grow into more Orks, more Gretchen, more Squigs, creating a self-sustaining ecosystem of aggression wherever they take root. Orks are genetically engineered warriors, created millions of years ago by the Old Ones as weapons in their war against the C'tan and the Necrons. The ancient Krork, as they were then known, were far more sophisticated and dangerous than their modern descendants. But even degraded, diminished, reduced from their ancient glory, Orks remain one of the most successful species in the galaxy. They thrive in conditions that would destroy other races. They reproduce through spores. They possess genetic memory that gives them instinctive understanding of technology and warfare. They generate a collective psychic field that literally warps reality around them, making their ramshackle technology function through the power of belief. This psychic gestalt field, this WAG energy, is perhaps the most crucial element of Ork existence. It's not magic in the traditional sense, though it draws power from the warp. It's a collective unconscious that grows stronger as more Orks gather together, as they become more excited, as they engage in the violence they crave. When enough Orks believe something is true, the WAG field can make it so. Red vehicles go faster because Orks believe red is the fastest color. Weapons that should jam or explode function reliably because Orks believe they will. Leaders rise to power because the Gestalt field recognizes their strength and magnifies it. Orks live for war. They are biologically incapable of experiencing lasting peace or contentment. Fighting is as essential to them as breathing. But more than that, they are scavengers and looters on a scale that defies comprehension. The Death Skulls clan has elevated looting to a spiritual practice. They believe that blue is lucky, so they paint everything blue and steal everything that isn't nailed down, and many things that are. Ork mech boys can look at a damaged Imperial tank and instinctively understand how to repair it, modify it, and get it running again, often improving its performance through modifications that shouldn't work, but do, because the way AGH field makes them work. When Orks find technology, especially military technology, they don't just scavenge it, they make it their own. Looted Lehman Russ tanks become Ork battle wagons, festooned with additional guns, armored plates, spikes, and garish paint jobs. Captured weapons are rebuilt, often becoming more dangerous in Ork hands, despite being improved in ways that violate every principle of engineering and common sense. An Ork mech boy doesn't need to understand why something works. He just needs to know that it does, and the WAG field fills in the gaps. This is the force that discovers our ancient Dreadnought, not a careful archaeological expedition, not a reverent team of tech priests seeking lost knowledge, but a ramshackle mob of greenskins who view the entire galaxy as an all-you-can-loot buffet and who possess all the patience and subtlety of a chain axe through an ammunition depot. The planet where our story unfolds is a dead world. Once, it might have been a thriving hive world or an agricultural paradise. Perhaps it was a chapter monastery or a forge world. But that was 10,000 years ago, before some catastrophe claimed it. The records are lost, the monuments crumbled, the cities collapsed into ruins that were in turn buried by millennia of dust and geological change. Even its name is forgotten, existing now only as a designation in ancient star charts that no living being has consulted in 5,000 years. The Ork warband that makes planetfall here is typical of their kind. They number perhaps 300 strong, led by a war boss named Gutsmack Dead Killy, a particularly large and aggressive specimen even by Ork standards. Gutsmack earned his name through the simple expedient of killing everything he could reach with his power claw. and his warband follows him because he's the biggest, the strongest, and hasn't been killed yet. In Ork society, this passes for legitimate governance. They came to this world following the trail of a space hulk that passed through the system a decade ago. Ork navigators, such as they are, detected the faint traces of metal and machinery on the planet's surface through methods that would give an Imperial augur savant an aneurysm if they tried to understand them. To Gutsmak, this meant loot. To his mech boys, this meant parts. To the looters in his warband, this meant opportunity. And so they descended in a ramshackle assault of drop pods that were probably stolen Imperial equipment, retrofitted Ork trucks with rockets strapped to them, and in one memorable case, a Gretchen who was simply thrown from orbit with a crude parachute and orders to scout ahead. The ruins they find are extensive. Collapsed buildings, fused glass where plasma weapons once fired, the rusted hulks of ancient vehicles so corroded by time that their original function is unrecognizable. The Orks spread out immediately, following the universal Ork strategy of everyone grab what they can and fight anyone who tries to take it. Gretchen are sent scurrying into collapsed tunnels and buried chambers, their smaller size allowing them to navigate spaces where even the smallest Ork couldn't fit. For 3 days, the warband scavenges. They find weapons so degraded, they're little more than rust sculptures. They find armor plates that might have once protected tanks or bunkers. They find, in one underground vault, a cache of ammunition that miraculously hasn't detonated in 10 millennia. When tested, exactly half of it explodes immediately, killing 2 Orks and 3 Gretchen. The Orks consider this a successful find, but it's on the 4th day that they find the cathedral. It's buried under 80 feet of compacted rubble and soil. The Orks only discover it because one of their digging machines, a contraption that's half drill, half battering ram, and entirely too loud, punches through a structural weakness and plummets into a vast underground chamber. The Ork operating it survives the fall through a combination of good luck and being too stupid to be seriously injured. When he reports back to Gutsmak, his description is characteristically unhelpful. Big room, boss. Real big. Got some spinny things and glowy bits. Intrigued by the promise of glowy bits, which in Ork parlance usually means functional technology, Gutsmak leads a mob of his best boys into the chamber. What they find stops even an Ork in his tracks, if only for a moment. The chamber is indeed vast, a cathedral space carved from the living rock. The ceiling arches high overhead, supported by columns that bear the iconography of the Adeptus Astartes. Faded murals cover the walls, depicting battle scenes and heroic last stands, though millennia of darkness and moisture have rendered them into abstract suggestions of former glory. The floor is laid with stone tiles, many cracked or missing, arranged in geometric patterns that might have once held significance. But it's the contents of the chamber that capture Ork attention. Arranged in alcoves along the walls, standing in silent vigil, are dozens of sarcophagi. These are not the burial places of the dead, however. These are the resting places of the chapter's dreadnoughts, a hall of sleeping ancients who were placed here when the chapter fell or fled or simply ceased to be. Each sarcophagus is massive, easily twice the height of an Ork and armored in thick ceramite plates. They bear the heraldry of their chapter, though the colors have faded and the symbols are worn almost smooth. Most of the sarcophagi are dark and cold. Their power systems failed millennia ago, and the warriors within experienced the final death in their sleep, spared the knowledge of their abandonment. But one, standing in an alcove at the far end of the chamber, still hums with the faint vibration of active machinery. Its armored plates are scorched and dented from some ancient battle, but intact. A faint luminescence glows from vision slits in the sarcophagus face, barely visible, like the last embers of a dying fire. To the Orks, this means only one thing. it still works. The mech boys descend upon it immediately, their instinctive understanding of machinery driving them to examine this prize. And it is a prize. Even degraded, even from a technology base 10,000 years out of date, a Space Marine Dreadnought represents a concentration of advanced engineering that makes Ork mechs positively giddy with possibilities. The armor alone is worth looting. The weapon systems, if they can be reactivated, would make an excellent addition to someone's battle wagon. And if they can figure out how to extract the pilot and wire an Ork in instead, well, that would make for the biggest, baddest death dread anyone's ever seen. The Gretchen are sent to find tools. The boys stand guard, bickering among themselves about who will get to claim which parts once the mechs crack the sarcophagus open. Gutsmack himself stands before the towering war machine, his brutal face split in a wide grin that reveals far too many teeth. He doesn't understand what this thing is, not really. He doesn't know about the Horus heresy, or the long war, or the terrible price paid by those interred in such machines. He just knows it's big, it's impressive, and it's going to make him even more killy when he gets it working. The head mech boy, a grizzled Ork named Sparkgit, who's missing 3 fingers from various explosive experiments, circles the Dreadnought with the intensity of a predator stalking prey. He can see the power conduits, the ammunition feeds, the targeting systems. His genetic memory, that instinctive understanding of technology hard-coded into every mech boy's DNA by the long-vanished brain boys, tells him this is sophisticated work. It's Humi-tech, sure, but it's good Humi-tech. The kind that doesn't explode when you look at it wrong. The kind that might actually be worth stealing rather than just scrapping for parts. How do we turn it on then? Gutsmack asks, which is the most strategic thinking he's engaged in all week. Sparkgit grunts, examining the various ports and access panels. There's gotta be a button or something. Humi's always got buttons. This is unfortunately essentially accurate. The Imperium's approach to technology is heavily ritualized, with specific activation rites and prayer sequences required for most advanced equipment. But 10,000 years ago, during the Great Crusade and Horus heresy, such superstitions hadn't yet fully taken hold. The Dreadnought systems are designed to be activated by authorized personnel, typically tech marines or tech marines, using specific code phrases and authorization protocols. The Orks have neither the codes nor the patience for such niceties. Sparkgit's solution is characteristically Orky. He takes a large wrench and starts hitting things until something happens. This approach has worked for him before, and he sees no reason to change tactics now. The first few impacts accomplish nothing. The 4th cracks an armor plate. The 7th triggers a warning rune that flickers weakly to life before dying again. The 11th, delivered with all of Sparkgit's considerable strength directly to what appears to be a power coupling, causes something deep within the sarcophagus to groan like a dying leviathan. Systems that have been dormant for 10,000 years begin to wake. Deep within the armored shell, preserved in suspension fluids, a body that was broken on a battlefield when the Imperium was young begins to stir. Neurons fire. Synapses that have been dark for 100 centuries start to reconnect. The mind impulse unit, that interface between organic brain and machine systems, begins its reactivation sequence. For the warrior within, the transition from the void of stasis sleep to consciousness is not gentle. There are no dreams in true stasis. There is nothing. No time passing, no awareness, no existence at all. And then, suddenly, there is everything. Pain comes first. Not physical pain, for his body is too damaged to feel much beyond what the suspension systems allow, but the pain of existence itself, of being, of consciousness forced back into a mind that had been mercifully absent. It feels like being born and dying simultaneously, like drowning in sensation after drowning in nothing. Then come the diagnostics. His mind, interfaced with the Dreadnought systems, is flooded with data. Power cell charge at 47%, ammunition reserves critically low. armor integrity compromised in 17 locations, optical systems online but operating at reduced capacity, acoustic sensors detecting significant ambient noise, seismic sensors registering movement at close proximity. He tries to move and finds his body responding, but not his body. Servo motors instead of muscles, hydraulics instead of tendons. The Dreadnought's arms shift, powered fists clenching with a sound like grinding metal. The motion is sluggish after 10 millennia of inactivity, but it is motion. He tries to speak and hears his own voice echoing from external speakers, a mechanical rasp that bears little resemblance to the voice he remembers having. What? Where? The last thing he remembers is the battle. He was a captain then, leading his brothers against the traitor legions on a world whose name he can no longer recall. There was plasma fire, an explosion, the sensation of his spine breaking, his armor cracking, his body failing even as his mind screamed at it to keep fighting. His apothecaries around him, their voices urgent, a decision being made, the chapter's reclusium, tech marines performing the sacred rites, the claustrophobic horror of being sealed into the sarcophagus, the first activation, the disorienting sensation of inhabiting a body that wasn't his own, a few battles, victories he can barely remember, and then sleep. They'd told him to sleep. They'd said the chapter needed time to regroup, to rebuild, that he would be awakened when he was needed. Just sleep, Ancient. Rest. We will call upon you when the hour is darkest. How long has it been? Days? Months? He tries to access the Dreadnought's chronometer systems and finds them non-functional. He tries to raise his chapter on Vox and receives only static. He tries to access the neural link to his chapter's fortress monastery and finds nothing. No connection. No signal. No chapter. For a Space Marine Dreadnought, for a warrior who has already died once and been reborn in metal, this moment of realization carries a special kind of horror. He is alone, truly alone, not deployed on a solo mission, not separated from his unit by the chaos of battle, but alone in a way that suggests something has gone terribly, catastrophically wrong. And then his optical sensors focus on what's in front of him, and confusion becomes incomprehension. Orks, dozens of them, swarming around his sarcophagus like flies on carrion, pouring at his armor, attempting to pry open access panels. One particularly small specimen, a Gretchen by the looks of it, has climbed up onto his shoulder guard and is trying to wrench off his chapter's heraldic symbol with a crowbar. The warrior's training, ingrained through decades of service before his interment and reinforced by the battles he fought as a Dreadnought, reasserts itself. He assesses the tactical situation with the cold precision that only a Space Marine can achieve. Hostile Xenos at close proximity. Chapter support unavailable. Location unknown. Condition suboptimal. Ammunition low, but functional. The priority is clear. Eliminate the Xenos threat. The Dreadnought moves. To the Orks, the transformation from dormant relic to active war machine is shocking in its suddenness. One moment they're examining an interesting piece of salvage, and the next that salvage is moving with a speed that seems impossible for something so massive. A powered fist, each finger the size of an Ork's torso, sweeps through the mob of boys surrounding the alcove. 3 Orks are caught in the blow and simply disintegrate, their bodies pulverized by the impact. The Dreadnought's other arm, mounting what appears to be some kind of cannon, swings towards Sparkgit. The mech boy's survival instincts, honed through countless encounters with exploding machinery, save his life. He throws himself aside just as the assault cannon spins up and begins firing. The weapon is old, the ammunition ancient and unstable, but it still works. Heavy shells tear through the space where Sparkgit was standing and stitch a line of destruction across the chamber's far wall. The noise is deafening, a thunderous roar that echoes off the stone and sets Gretchen fleeing in all directions. Gutsmack Dead Killy, to his credit, doesn't run. Running is not in the Ork vocabulary unless it's running toward a fight. He's confused by this turn of events, certainly. He'd expected to have to work harder to get the Humi machine working. But if it wants to fight, Well, that's just perfect. He charges forward with a bellowing war cry of "Wag!" that's echoed by every orc in the chamber. The battle that erupts is chaos in its purest form. The Dreadnought fights with the precision and discipline of 10,000 years of warfare. Every movement is economical, calculated to achieve maximum effect. He pivots to bring his assault cannon to bear on the largest concentration of orcs, firing controlled bursts that saw through greenskin flesh and armor with equal ease. When orcs get too close, his power fist smashes them aside, the energy field surrounding the weapon, ensuring that each impact is lethal. But he's weakened. 10 millennia of dormancy have taken their toll on his systems. His power reserves are limited, his ammunition won't last long, and there are so many of them. For every orc he kills, 2 more seem to appear, drawn by the sounds of battle. And these aren't the poorly equipped raiders he remembers fighting in his previous life. These orcs have guns, crude but effective, and they're using them. Solid slugs ping off his armor, most deflecting harmlessly, but some finding gaps in his plating, chipping away at his protection. Worse, the orcs are enjoying this. They're not fighting in terror or fleeing from overwhelming force. They're laughing, cheering. Each time one of their number falls, the others just get more excited. The wag energy is building, that collective psychic field that empowers orcs in combat, and the Dreadnought can feel it even through his mechanical senses, a pressure against reality itself. "That's a proper fight, that is," one orc yells, firing a crude pistol repeatedly at the Dreadnought's head. The shots accomplish nothing, but the orc seems thrilled by the attempt. The Dreadnought has fought orcs before, in his previous life and in his early battles as an interred warrior. He knows how dangerous they become when properly motivated. He knows that the longer this fight continues, the stronger they'll get, fed by their own enthusiasm. He needs to break their morale, scatter them, create an opportunity to escape and assess his situation properly. So he targets their leader. Gutsmack is easy to identify. He's the biggest, he's shouting the loudest, and he's pushing other orcs out of his way to get at the Dreadnought. The war boss is a monster of muscle and scar tissue, his massive frame enhanced by scrapped-together armor plates and bio-augmetics that a pain boy probably installed while drunk. His power claw is a work of brutal artistry, all grinding gears and crackling energy, stolen from a dead space marine and modified to orc proportions. The Dreadnought turns his full attention to Gutsmack, bringing both weapons to bear. The assault cannon spins up again, and for a moment it seems like the war boss is about to be shredded, but the gun jams, an ancient ammunition feed finally failing after 10,000 years and 30 seconds of continuous operation. The weapon sputters, fires 2 more rounds, and goes silent. Gutsmack grins. "Out of ammo, Humie? Good. Was getting boring anyway." The war boss charges, his power claw raised high. The Dreadnought meets him with his own power fist, and when the 2 weapons collide, the sound is like thunder. Energy fields interact, crackling with discharge that fills the air with ozone. Gutsmack is strong, far stronger than any normal human could be, empowered by orc physiology and the way Arg field. But the Dreadnought is stronger still, driven by servo motors that can lift tons and supported by a frame built to withstand anti-tank weapons. The war boss is pushed back, his feet skidding on the stone floor. For just a moment, doubt flickers across his brutal features. This thing is stronger than him, stronger than anything he's fought in years. He could die here. The thought just makes him grin wider. "Good scrap!" he bellows and attacks again. They trade blows like titans. The Dreadnought's fist comes down in a crushing overhead strike that Gutsmack barely dodges, the impact cratering the floor where he was standing. The war boss's claw rakes across the Dreadnought's armor, the energy field cutting through ceramite and leaving deep gouges. Around them, the other orcs have formed a rough circle, watching the fight with the intensity of spectators at a particularly good sporting event. Occasionally, one of them will take a pot shot at the Dreadnought, but mostly they're content to watch their boss fight. The Dreadnought is running calculations even as he fights. Power reserves dropping rapidly. Structural integrity of several key systems compromised. No support available. No extraction possible. Multiple hostiles. victory probability decreasing with each passing second. The logical conclusion is clear. This is a fight he cannot win. Not like this. Not alone. Not after 10,000 years of degradation. But Space Marines do not surrender, especially not to Xenos. He changes tactics. Instead of trying to destroy Gutsmack, he uses the war boss's momentum against him. When the next power claw strike comes in, the Dreadnought doesn't block it. He shifts, allowing the blow to pass by his armored chassis, and then brings his power fist down on Gutsmack's extended arm. The impact is catastrophic. The war boss's arm, augmented as it is, still has organic bone and flesh beneath the metal, and the Dreadnought's strike crushes it. Gutsmack's roar of pain is quickly followed by a roar of anger as he swings his other fist, catching the Dreadnought a glancing blow to the head that sends warning runes flickering across the pilot's consciousness. The Dreadnought doesn't wait for Gutsmack to recover. He grabs the warboss with his power fist, the massive fingers closing around the Ork's torso, and lifts him off the ground. For a moment, he could crush the life out of their leader. End this fight. Show these Xenos what it means to face a Space Marine. But the pragmatic part of his mind, the part that's spent so long as a weapon that it thinks in terms of ammunition and target priority, recognizes an opportunity. He turns, using Gutsmack as a battering ram, and charges toward the chamber's entrance. Orks scatter before him, not out of fear, but out of a desire not to be trampled. He reaches the doorway, the exit to this tomb he's been trapped in for so long, and keeps going. The corridor beyond is partially collapsed, but there's enough space for a Dreadnought to navigate. Behind him, he can hear the Orks organizing themselves for pursuit. Good. Let them follow. Let them spread out. Once he has room to maneuver, once he's not trapped in that damn chamber, he can fight properly. He throws Gutsmack aside, not gently. The warboss bounces off a wall with a sound that suggests several bones breaking, but the Ork is already scrambling to his feet, cradling his ruined arm and laughing like a maniac. "That's more like it. Chase is the best part." And so begins the running battle through the ruins. The Dreadnought's tactical assessment expands as he moves through the corridors. This was definitely a Space Marine facility once. He can see the architectural style, the defensive positions, the sacred symbology worked into the very walls. But it's been abandoned for a long time. Sections have collapsed. Others are flooded. Some corridors end in cave-ins or structural failures. It's a labyrinth, and he's navigating it with only partial sensor data and 10,000-year-old memories that may not even apply anymore. The Orks are everywhere. They've been scavenging this complex for days, and they know the layout better than he does. They pop out of side passages, firing their crude weapons. They drop from above, riding chains and ropes in a manner that suggests they've set up some kind of transportation system. They come from below, tunneling up through weakened floors. And always, they're enjoying themselves. This is what the Dreadnought can't understand. Even after all his years of fighting Xenos, they're losing. He's killed dozens of them. His armor is painted green with their blood. Every step he takes marks a victory against them, and yet they're having the time of their lives. Every Ork that falls dies with a smile. Every injury just makes them fight harder. The WAG energy is so thick now, he can feel it pressing against the Dreadnought's systems, that impossible psychic field that makes Ork technology work and Ork society function. He rounds a corner and finds himself in what was once an armory. Racks that once held bolters and chainsaws stand empty, the weapons long since looted or decayed. But the Orks have made use of the space, piling their own scavenged goods here. There are stacks of rusted metal, piles of ammunition both Ork and Imperial, and in the center of the room, a mech boy's workshop where Sparkgit himself is frantically assembling something. The mech boy looks up as the Dreadnought enters, his eyes widening. "Oh, Zog," he mutters. And then the Dreadnought's power fist comes down, smashing through the workshop and scattering tools and half-assembled contraptions across the room. Sparkgit dives aside, narrowly avoiding being crushed. "You're gonna pay for that," the mech boy shouts, producing a massive wrench that crackles with poorly insulated electrical power. "Took me days to set up that shop." The Dreadnought doesn't dignify this with a response. He's noticed something that makes his ancient heart skip a beat, if he still had hearts that could beat. Among the scavenged goods, partially buried under a pile of armor scraps, is a power pack. An Imperial power pack, the kind designed to charge Space Marine equipment. It's old, possibly as old as he is, but the faint glow from its indicator lights suggests it might still hold some charge. He needs that. His own reserves are running critical. Without power, the Dreadnought is just an expensive tomb. But as he moves toward it, the roof explodes inward. The Orks, it turns out, have not been idle. While he was busy fighting through their numbers, they were setting a trap. They've brought something heavy through the ruins above, some kind of siege weapon or modified vehicle. And now, they've driven it through the ceiling. It lands with a crash that shakes the entire room, and as the dust clears, the Dreadnought sees what he's facing. It's a Death Dread, an Ork walker, roughly the same size as an Imperial Dreadnought, but built with Orky sensibilities. It's a mess of scrap metal, exposed wiring, and what appears to be an Ork pilot permanently wired into the machine's systems. The pilot is visible through a crude viewing port, his face a mask of barely controlled rage, his mouth open in a constant scream that echoes from the walker's speakers. The machine bristles with weapons, rotary cannons that look like they were stolen from a dozen different sources, power claws that spark with aggressive energy, and what might be a flamer or might just be a broken pipe that shoots fire. The Death Dread's pilot screams something incomprehensible and charges. What follows is a battle between two walking war machines, both piloted by warriors who've been permanently sealed into their mechanical bodies, both driven by different kinds of madness. The Dreadnought fights with precision and discipline, even as his systems fail. The Death Dread fights with savage glee, its pilot shrieking in a mixture of rage and joy as it unleashes everything it has. They meet in the center of the armory, and the impact of their collision brings down more of the ceiling. The Death Dread's claws tear at the Dreadnought's armor, finding weak points that have existed for 10 millennia and exploiting them. The Dreadnought's power fist punches through the Death Dread's scrap metal plating, crushing components and tearing out wiring. Neither pilot can escape their machine. This is fight to destruction, and both of them know it. Around them, the Orks cheer and fire their weapons indiscriminately, sometimes hitting the Dreadnought, sometimes hitting their own Death Dread, not particularly caring either way as long as the fight continues. Gutsmack watches from the doorway, his ruined arm now roughly splintered with metal bars and wrapped in dirty bandages. He's lost a lot of blood, but that just makes him laugh harder. "Best fight I've seen in years," he shouts to anyone who'll listen. "Worth every teeth I paid for that dread." The Dreadnought pilot knows he's going to lose this fight. His ammunition is gone, his power reserves are in single digits. Systems are failing across his frame. The Death Dread, crude as it is fresh and fully powered. Its pilot is insane but focused, channeling all his rage into the fight. And behind it, dozens more Orks wait to finish what the Death Dread starts. But he's a Space Marine. Even reduced to this, even after 10,000 years, even facing certain destruction, he will not yield. If this is where his watch ends, then he'll make it count. He'll take as many of them with him as he can. He'll show them what it means to face one of the Emperor's chosen, even in this degraded age. He switches his remaining power to locomotion, sacrificing shields and non-essential systems for one final surge of speed. He drives forward, pushing the Death Dread back, using his greater mass to advantage. The Ork pilot screams louder, thrashing in his restraints. But the Dreadnought doesn't stop. He pushes until they hit the far wall, and then he keeps pushing. His power fist drives through the Death Dread's chest, crushing the pilot's body, silencing that endless scream. The Death Dread collapses, its systems failing without the pilot's consciousness to guide them. The Dreadnought steps back, his own systems flickering, power levels dropping towards zero. He's spent everything. He has nothing left. The Orks, for just a moment, are silent. They stare at their fallen Death Dread, at the ancient war machine that destroyed it. at the scene of carnage around them. And then, because they're orcs, they start cheering. "That was amazing," one shouts. "Did you see how he just crushed through the armor?"
"I want one."
Gutsmark steps forward, looking at the Dreadnought with something that might be respect in a creature capable of such emotion. "You fought good, Humie. Real good. For a git what's been asleep for who knows how long, you gave us a proper scrap." The Dreadnought, his power failing, his consciousness already starting to fade, manages one last transmission through his damaged speakers. "In the name of the Emperor, I will not yield." "Nah," Gutsmack says, not unkindly. "You already did." The Dreadnought's systems fail. His optical sensors go dark. His consciousness fades, not into the clean void of stasis sleep, but into the fuzzy confusion of power loss and system failure. His last thought, before darkness claims him, is a simple one. "At least I was fighting. At least I was awake." The Orks immediately descend on their prize. Sparkgit is already planning modifications, measuring the Dreadnought's frame against various Ork components he's salvaged. "We can make this even killier," he declares. "Add more guns, bigger armor, paint it red so as it goes faster." "Can you get it working again?" Gutsmack asks. "Oh yeah, boss. The homie inside's probably dead, but we can wire in one of our boys, make it a proper Ork dread. Just needs some splaining to the machine spirit. And by splaining, I mean hitting it with a really big wrench." And so the ancient warrior, who fought in the Horus heresy, who served the Emperor before the Imperium became the nightmare it is today, who slept for 10,000 years, waiting for a call that never came, becomes salvage. His sarcophagus is pried open. His broken body is removed with no more ceremony than any other piece of obsolete equipment. The Orks don't know who he was. They don't care about his honors or his deeds. They just see a good bit of tech that can be repurposed. In a way, it's fitting. The Imperium he served forgot about him, left him to sleep in darkness while the galaxy moved on without him. At least the Orks are using him. At least the machine that was his prison and his purpose will see battle again, even if it's under a different banner. Even if the warrior's final legacy is to become an Ork weapon. Sparkgit does his work over the next several days. He clears out the sarcophagus, cleaning away the amniotic fluids and the dead flesh. He reroutes the power systems, adapting them to run on Ork generators. He modifies the weapon mounts, adding more guns because you can never have enough Daka. He repaints the entire frame in a garish combination of red, black, and yellow, because those are proper Ork colors. And finally, he wires in a new pilot, a young Ork who volunteered for the position because it would make him bigger and killier. The reactivation is typically Orky in its simplicity. Sparkgit throws the main power switch, hits the frame with a wrench 3 times for luck, and shouts, "Wah!" The Dreadnought systems come online, its sensors reactivating, its weapons charging. But the consciousness guiding it now is Ork through and through, excited by the prospect of violence, completely unconcerned with the machine's ancient and honored past. "This is amazing, boss," the new pilot shouts through the speakers. "I can see everything. I got so many guns. Can we go stomp some gits?" "Later," Gutsmack says. "First, we gotta see if you can walk in that thing without falling over." The Ork pilot tries to take a step and immediately crashes face first into the ground, sending Gretchen scattering. The watching Orks laugh, because that's exactly the kind of thing they find hilarious. But the pilot gets back up, learns from his mistake, and tries again. Within an hour, he's walking. Within a day, he's running. Within a week, he'll be fighting in the Ork warband's raids, another weapon in their arsenal, completely unaware that he's piloting a relic from the Imperium's greatest war. And what of the warrior who spent 10,000 years in that sarcophagus? His body is unceremoniously dumped with the rest of the biological waste the Orks generate. No funeral rites, no honors, no acknowledgement of his service. He died millennia ago, really. The thing that woke up in the ruins was just an echo, a ghost haunting a machine. Now, Even the ghost is gone, and only the machine remains. But perhaps, in whatever afterlife awaits the Emperor's servants, he finds some peace. His watch is ended, truly ended this time. He served faithfully, even when his service meant only sleeping in darkness. He fought when called upon, even after 10,000 years. He did not yield, even when yielding would have been merciful. He was a space marine, from the first breath of his augmented life to the final fading of his consciousness. The Imperium will never know what happened to him. His chapter, if it still exists, has long since written him off as lost. His name is recorded in archives that haven't been consulted in millennia. His deeds are remembered by no one. In the vast, uncaring machine of the Imperium of man, he is less than a statistic. He is nothing. But for one brief moment, awakened by accident on a dead world, he fought. And for a space marine, perhaps that's enough. Perhaps that's all there ever was. The Orks move on from the dead world within a month, their holds filled with scavenged goods and their ranks swelled by the Ork ecosystem that sprung up from their spores. They leave behind the ruins, the collapsed cathedral, the empty sarcophagi of dreadnoughts, who will never wake again. The dead world returns to its silence, another forgotten corner of a galaxy that has forgotten so much. Somewhere in the warband's fleet, the repurposed dreadnought stomps around, its Ork pilot learning the ins and outs of his new body, excited by all the ways he can be killy. He's painted the sarcophagus with crude glyphs proclaiming his prowess, covered the ancient heraldry with Ork symbols. The machine that once carried a hero of the Imperium now serves the wag, and it does so with enthusiasm. There's a certain dark poetry to it. The Imperium creates these warriors, augments them into superhuman killing machines, indoctrinates them into absolute loyalty, and when their bodies fail, locks them into metal coffins to fight forever. But forever is a long time, and the Imperium is very good at forgetting. The Orks, crude and savage as they are, at least use what they find. They don't leave their warriors to sleep in forgotten tombs. They don't build monuments to honor and then abandon them. They just fight, loot, and fight some more. Which approach is more honest? The Imperium's elaborate fiction that they honor their heroes, even as they leave them to rot in darkness? Or the Orcs' simple acknowledgement that everything is just loot waiting to be taken and used? It's not a question with a comfortable answer, and perhaps that's the point. In the grim darkness of the far future, there are no comfortable answers. There are only the choices made, the battles fought, and the endless grinding wheel of war. The ancient dreadnought, or what it became, fights in several more battles before it's finally destroyed. It takes a direct hit from an Imperial Guard Lehman Russ tank during a raid on a frontier world, the battle cannon shell punching through the modified armor and detonating the ammunition stores within. The Ork pilot dies screaming in glee, thrilled to have such an explosive end. The machine is scattered across 100 meters of battlefield, too damaged even for Ork mechs to salvage. No one mourns it. The Orks move on to the next fight. The Imperial Guard soldiers who destroyed it don't even realize they've just ended the millennia-long service of one of their own warriors. They just mark it down as one more Ork walker eliminated and move to the next target. And so ends the tale of a warrior who fought in the Horus Heresy, slept for 10,000 years, woke to find himself in a galaxy that had moved on without him, and was ultimately repurposed into an Ork weapon. It's not a story with a happy ending, but then, in Warhammer 40,000, there are no happy endings. There is only the grim determination to keep fighting, the dark humor of finding purpose in an uncaring universe, and the knowledge that everyone, from the mightiest Primarch to the lowest Gretchen, is ultimately just another piece of meat grinding through the galaxy's endless wars. Some warriors become legends, some become martyrs, some become saints or chapter masters, or heroes whose deeds are sung for millennia. And some become Ork loot, their service ending not in glory, but in salvage and scrap. It's not fair, it's not noble, it's not what any space marine would choose. But it is, perhaps, perfectly fitting for the universe of Warhammer 40,000. A universe where the greatest heroes can be forgotten, where the most sacred relics can be defiled, where 10,000 years of faithful service can end in being repurposed by the enemies you swore to destroy, where the only constant is war, and the only certainty is that eventually everyone's service ends one way or another. The Orks don't philosophize about any of this, of course. They're too busy enjoying themselves, fighting their way across the galaxy, looting everything they can reach and laughing all the while. They don't care about the tragic irony of an Imperial hero becoming an Ork weapon. They just care that it shoots good and crumps proper. And maybe that's the real lesson here, if there is one. The Imperium builds elaborate structures of meaning and honor and service, creates complex hierarchies and traditions, demands eternal vigilance and ultimate sacrifice. But at the end of the day, when 10,000 years have passed and everyone who knew you is dust, when your chapter might be extinct and your homeworld might be ash, all of that meaning is just as dead as you are. The Orks, with their simple philosophy of might makes right and everything is loot, might be crude and savage and everything the Imperium despises. But they're honest about what they are. They don't pretend that service lasts forever, or that sacrifice is honored eternally. They just fight, loot, and move on to the next battle. In a universe as dark and uncaring as Warhammer 40,000, maybe that honesty is worth something. Or maybe it's just another form of madness, another way that the galaxy breaks everyone who lives in it. Either way, the story remains the same. An ancient warrior slept, woke, fought, died, and was forgotten. Just another casualty in an endless war. Just another piece of loot in an Orks collection. Just another way that the grim darkness of the far future finds new ways to crush hope and dignity under its uncaring heel. So remember, the next time you see an Ork death dread stomping across the battlefield, covered in crude paint and spouting incomprehensible battle cries, that it might once have been something more. It might once have been a hero, a legend, a warrior who served with distinction and honor. It might once have had a name, a history, a purpose beyond simple violence. But probably not. Probably it's just an Ork who wanted to be bigger and killier, wired into a machine by a mech boy who was drunk on fungus beer and working from genetic memory rather than any real understanding. Either way, it's shooting at you, and philosophical musings won't save you from its guns. Welcome to Warhammer 40,000, where everything is terrible, everyone dies eventually, and even 10,000 years of loyal service ends in salvage and scrap, if you're unlucky enough to be forgotten. Now you know what happens when Orks find a Dreadnought that's been asleep for 10,000 years. They loot it, modify it, repurpose it, and use it until it's destroyed, at which point they loot the pieces and start the cycle all over again. It's brutal, it's tragic, it's darkly comedic, and it's perfectly emblematic of a universe where nobility and honor are just another kind of weakness to be exploited. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into one of the more darkly ironic scenarios in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. We explore the grim darkness of the far future every week, finding new ways that the setting manages to be both epic and horrifying, noble and tragic, inspiring and soul-crushing all at once. There are countless more stories to tell, countless more corners of this dark universe to illuminate, countless more ways to explore what happens when the grandest ideals meet the cruelest realities. So hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and join us as we continue to explore the most fascinatingly grim science fiction setting ever created. Because in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war, but at least we can talk about it. The Emperor protects, but sometimes the Emperor forgets. And when the Emperor forgets, the Orks loot. Such is life in the 41st millennium.